Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy. And like usual, we're going to do 2 rows. And the top row I refer to as high vibe Pisces. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy. And we all have free will. We have to make decisions in our life. Some people could be battling and debating within themselves. They're in their high vibe nature. They might want to move forward in life a little differently, but the bottom row can kind of represent our comfort zone. And we can be really tempted to stay in our comfort zone, not do life any differently. But the bottom row can also represent our more worldly, shadowy nature, our fear, our insecurities, our pride, our ego, our lust, our greed, our lazy nature, etc. And sometimes we'd have to quit giving in to our more shadowy nature to do life different, right? And so there could be some people that are struggling within themselves. Other people have made their decisions. They're moving forward. Some people are moving forward in life a little differently than they had before. Some other people, the bottom row can represent repeating an old pattern, because we're all kind of ready to move forward in life differently. We all heal or grow or mature ourselves at different times. So some people aren't ready to move forward in life differently. Some people will never move forward in life differently. We're kind of looking for people who are kind of on the same page at the same time as we are. So this could be something particularly something that people who are Pisces sun sign or have significant Pisces placements, it might be something they're dealing with more so in their life, but it could be something that affects all Pisces energy, and we all tap into Pisces energy, and we all either harness our Pisces energy in a more emotionally mature, stable, grounded way, having more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in others and in love, or we kind of could align with our more immature nature, pessimistic nature, don't believe in love nature. So we're dealing with all sorts of people in the world. And, if we just listen to our intuition and have learned to listen to our intuition, trying to get an idea of kind of who's who. So, listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story, if it resonates with you at all, and where other people might be. So, in the bottom row, the reason for the reading is the Seven of Pentacles, which is Taurus and Earth sign energy, which can have to do with our philosophy of life. And some people right now are just kind of more focused maybe on job, career, stability, security, status, image. Those are part of our dream. And that can be what some people are focused on. For some people, that's what they stay focused on. It's always the primary focus in their life. Some other people might have went through some experiences. The reason for the top row's reading is the Aquarius star card, where some people really had to look at life from a higher perspective and have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and their dreams, just maybe because of things that they were going through. And it kind of forced them that I can't just stay focused more on these things, because maybe those things are going okay. And, when do we start to think of looking at life differently? Maybe when there's something kind of not seeming right in what we are doing and investing our time, energy, and effort into. And so that's when some people could be happy, like, I don't have a problem with it. This is how I live my life. I'm good. And other people are like, it's causing me a problem. So then they might start to kind of really focus more. The Seven of Pentacles can represent a lot of things in the world, because Taurus energy represents kind of all these different institutions in the world. My job, my career, my friend group, my family group, my romantic relationship, And periodically we have to do that in our life, right? The Seven of Pentacles can talk about, I need to really kind of consider who and what I'm investing my time, energy, and effort into, because if we have a dream we want to bring into reality, are we headed in that direction or are we not? Are we in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who love and encourage us to put in work and effort to make our dreams come into reality? Or do they not? And maybe don't want us to, you know? And it just depends on what our dream is. Some people's dream in Taurus energy could be, I'm more about the world. I want a certain status or image, or, I want a certain stability or security. It just depends, what people's dreams are for themselves. Some people can be a little more motivated and driven, and maybe they don't want to make their life more about a more shadowy energy, and shadowy Taurus energy could be about making their life more about the world and the ego and the image and the status. And for some people, that's really important to them, more so than other things. And other people could be like, like every human being, do I want stability and security in my life and have a job? Yes. But I'd like to be in a job that I like. I would like to be in friendships and relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive, that maybe inspire me to believe in myself and believe in my dreams and believe that there's just more to life than just making my life about me or these things of the world. And so everybody's got free will. Everybody can have their own ideas of what they think would be emotionally fulfilling, what their dreams are, what their aspirations are, and everybody's different. And with most people in our life, oh, whatever, you do you, I'll do me. Hey, peace out. Hope it works out for you. I'm going to go do this. Yeah, you go do that. And we don't really care. It's like, you do you, I'll do me. But when it's really hard, is if we have to really make some hard decisions. We could have a job, we could have a friendship, we could have a relationship. Are we on the same page? Do we kind of have the same dream? At one time, we might have had the same dream. Maybe it was people that we thought were going to be in friendships with us forever. And then we can kind of get to these crossroads in life where their life is taking them in one direction. Our life is kind of taking us in a different direction. And, are we still going to put work and effort to stay connected, stay in touch? Do we kind of not want to put in work and effort? If it's more of a romantic relationship, Taurus can be all these different things that influence us and kind of how we imagined our dream. Pisces energy can kind of be what we imagined our dream would look like and what we thought it was going to look like and who and what we thought we would invest in. And Taurus energy can also talk about kind of these things of the world that kind of can cause some issues in relationships, like even, religious viewpoints. I always thought I would marry someone of this religion, but the person I like is this religion. And, we kind of got to work through those things, and ethnicity and, all those things, It's all these things that we kind of had this way of viewing life and kind of how we thought life was going to go. But see, the thing is, we're not the boss and we're not in control. And Pisces energy can be about going with the flow. We could all had our ideas, and we can be in a more shadowy Taurus energy, be more stubborn and unbudging and inflexible. In our more high vibe Pisces nature, or other people in our life who kind of are more willing to go with the flow, we can have kind of some conflict with them, because we could be, Taurus is fixed sign energy, Pisces is more mutable sign energy. It kind of helps us transition from one way of viewing life and living life to move to kind of willing to incorporate new ways of viewing life and looking at life into our Taurus philosophy of life. But some people could reject their Pisces nature, which can be their more emotionally intuitive, creative, hopeful, believing nature. And some people could just be like, no, we have to be more practical. That would be like a little more stubborn earth sign energy. This is the way we're supposed to do it. Taurus can represent kind of all these rules and regulations in our head that we could have gotten from a lot of other people in the world. You know, people we grew up with in our family had a way of viewing life and how things they thought were right and wrong and just and fair and attitudes and prejudices. And in our family, in our community, in our state, in our country, in the decade of the periods of time of life that we live in. You know, people could have some different views of life if they grew up in the 1960s or the 1980s, you know, because things change and we kind of all grew up in our it kind of was a big, you know, say you look at somebody in the first 30 years of their life or the first 20, you know, those are really significant, kind of formative, where we are kind of getting the foundation that we're kind of building our life upon. And so then if we get in relationships with other people who could be the same age as us, but their kind of whole way of living life and viewing life and the influences they had in their life and what things impacted them and how they view life and, you know, what they think is just and fair versus what we think is just and fair. And then we get, you know, much less people in our own age group that had their own family dynamics and social dynamics and cultural dynamics. Then, you know, we can know people in the world and we're of kind of different decades in a way that, you know, we just kind of view life differently. So some people could still be more caught up in the world. And the reason for the top rose reading, we could realize we also, besides in our philosophy of life, in our Taurus energy, kind of what in our Pisces energy of what motivates and drives us and what we find emotionally fulfilling, in our Aquarius energy, sometimes we're kind of mismatched also. You know, some people, it's more what's most important is to look like a shining star in the world, you know, having a certain status and image. And other people, you know, do I want some of those things? Yeah, but it's not like the end all be all in my life. We put in work and effort, hopefully in a career that I like. I assume if I'm in something that I like and I'm inspired by it in Aquarius energy, that those things kind of take on a life of their own. And while that kind of in the flow of being in something that I like, it kind of takes on a life of its own. And then in high vibe, I also have a dream over and above just this worldly thing that, you know, I have hope and faith and belief in love. And I want to be in careers that I love and with relationships with people I love. And other people could be like, that is so unimportant. You know, there's always people who are on the complete flip side because we live in a world of duality where there's this and that. How can we have free will choice if there's not this and that? So, for every person on the side of the spectrum, somewhere kind of operating their life with hope and faith and belief and love, you know, some could be more immature and more worldly focused, you know, to, you know, the whole spectrum. There's going to be people that are completely on the other side of the spectrum. And, you know, we're trying to kind of match up. We all have our emotional water sign energy, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. We all have our worldly nature, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. We all have our mind and our intellect and our reasoning and our truth in our air sign energy. And we all have our fire sign energy of things that fire us up. You know, and all of those are an aspect of ourself. Of course, some people, they could try to not really even connect in with their emotions. Some people, We're emotionally complex human beings, and some people find that too confusing, and they just don't give it much importance. I'm smart, I'm bright, I can use my emotions to the degree that I need to use them, to get along with people. Am I an emotionally deep person? Maybe not. Do I want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships? Some of them, no. We just need to see the truth. The truth sets us free. Get out of your ego. See the truth that everybody is their own little hodgepodge. And they have the free will to be whatever little mix of hodgepodge they want to be. It's just that there are consequences for our actions. And if the bottom row can represent that you're more stubborn, more prideful, pride comes before the fall. Some people, the more stubborn, the more immature, the more bossy, the more controlling, the more egotistical, things might not work out as well for them as it kind of does for other people. But that's their free will. And, if they're refuse to get out of their ego to look at life from any other perspective, they just need to find people who are willing to indulge them being that way or think the same way they do, right? But there are some people that do look at life from a higher perspective. They keep things in perspective. Maybe don't get all caught up in their mind and their fear and about their ego or their image, and just a little bit more able to go with the flow of life. So we start out with the Ace of Pentacles, then the Six of Wands, then the Moon, and then we have a card not showing itself. So some people, the Ace of Pentacles could represent all three of the earth sign energies, where some people maybe more in their more worldly earth sign nature of their Virgo or Taurus or Capricorn, or at least their Taurus, could be more about the world, and other people in their Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo energy are kind of more aligned and inspired in their fire sign energy to are a little more comfortable being a little more bold and brave and confident, maybe, to step into unknown territory is what the moon can talk about, because we can all kind of like to stay in our comfort zone because we know how everything works there, and it can make us feel like we're in control, and that can be, an issue that some people have more of than others. We all kind of like to kind of be in our comfort zone, but some people can be very controlling, right? And other people, it's like, I just kind of am inspired, this fire sign energy, that's why I say inspired, to listen to my intuition. And when my intuition kind of tells me that, a way I was living life, I was kind of at that phase of life, I had lessons to learn, I kind of did that phase of life, but then I kind of feel like with the Judgment card that kind of if I keep moving forward in it and investing in it, I might do it from a more shadowy Pisces energy of kind of indulging myself because I'm kind of afraid. The moon can talk about our fears and insecurities that we do have about stepping into unknown territory. And we can all do that for a while, and we've all got to listen to our intuition. Sometimes we stay a little too long in a job, a friendship, or certain habits and ways of living life, and then we can experience some consequences, is what the Judgment card can be, because it's kind of the universe trying to tell us, like, get out of the nest, go fly. It's like a bird coming in to land in a nest of life, like, oh, now you're 15 years old. Yes, this is appropriate. You are 15. You should live your life like this. Learn the lessons you need to learn. But then kind of when your intuition is kind of ready for you to go to the next phase of life, you've kind of learned everything here It's time to take the lessons that you learned and go to the next phase of life, And some people can refuse to do that. Their intuition could be screaming at them, that this isn't going where you think it's going. This isn't getting you where you thought it was going to get you. You used to have a dream. When did you give up on your dreams? When did you let your fear stop you from living your more authentic life, your truth? And we can all be, with the magician here, we can all be more manipulated by the world, in our fire sign energy of the Fool card and the Taurus energy of these things of the world. We're really caught up, we're human beings. We're pretty caught up in these things of the world. And we want to go indulge in these things of the world, and we want to go invest in these certain things of the world. And, we're pretty sure maybe if we had a certain status or image or money or whatever, we'd be happy. But some people really put in a lot of work and effort to maybe even manifest those things for themselves. And if they used to have a fear about having enough stability and security in their life, or feeling more balanced or stable or grounded within themselves, some of those people kind of could have just gotten to a place of feeling more emotionally balanced. If we have a lot of fear of believing in ourselves or believing in our dreams, or we have a lot of fear about our stability or security, once we kind of maybe could have that, then it could allow us emotionally to water sign energies here of Scorpio and Pisces to maybe quit letting those things consume us so much, right? And we could feel a little bit more emotionally at peace. And then that kind of could provide us the opportunity. Pisces energy, again, is kind of that emotional water sign energy that we can connect in with to help us transition through these different phases of life that we go through. And then maybe when we feel more stable and grounded within ourselves, we're able to kind of connect more in with our intuition. And the Six of Cups can talk about, it could have been working through some fears that you had from the past or of the future, maybe of just being more authentically yourself. But we could reconcile ourselves with some issues of the past that previously used to manipulate us. And it could be friends and family members, experiences that we went through. If we grew up in families that kind of made it seem like, it's one thing to encourage people to believe in themselves and put in work and effort, to have some stability and security. It can be another thing to kind of imply that that is what makes you have worth and value. That is what makes you valuable. And some people might have to work through some kind of things like that. Maybe they grew up with some people who were very much about ego and image, and more, it can be shadowy energy, can be more about being more concerned with the illusion you create in the world and how people view you, than kind of investing more time, energy, and effort to really being someone who harnesses high vibe Taurus energy within yourself, where you really do more walk the talk. And high vibe energy, again, is a balance. When we're tipped out of balance, it's kind of like we're driving our life off into the ditch. And, we all could have grown up with people that had their own unique ways of being and could have been more bossy, manipulative, superficial, shallow, immature, had illusions about something, things they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better, or were very egotistical and self-centered. and it's kind of to work through all of those things. And I would say in the judgment card to really get clear too about all of these different thoughts I have in my head, because I can have my own dreams and my own ways that I'd really like to live my life in my Pisces energy, but it's our Taurus energy that kind of dictates the decisions that we make in our life. Which, if we're really living our more authentic life, we take action in our Taurus energy, but it's because emotionally, in our high priestess energy, which is Pisces and Cancer energy, do I have a fear of love? Pisces can be about our fears, Cancer is about love and home and family and love of self. Do I have a fear of love? Did I grow up in families where people kind of more create the illusion of love, but it was kind of more superficial and shallow, and I don't really know how to be in more deep, meaningful relationships? That is out of my comfort zone. I don't want to do that. That's scary. I might prefer to be in a relationship where it is more in my comfort zone, working with people who also might be a little bit more inspired to be in relationships, more for the stability, the security, the status, the image. It might be a little more emotionally shallow or superficial, is what shadowy Scorpio can be. And they could do that until, you know, um, everything can be about learning lessons and experience. And some people have had more experience in listening to their intuition. Maybe they might have went on a few more journeys than some other people, and they could have learned some hard, valuable lessons to listen more to their intuition, because a lot of times their intuition was screaming at them. Other people maybe didn't even have a chance. Maybe they could have grown up in family dynamics or something. The 8, the 9, and the 10 of Cups is Pisces energy, which is again about being more independent. Some people, they weren't going anywhere. You get back there. Judgment. You are staying right here. And so some people didn't have some of the life experiences that other people had. More of a sheltered life, or for others, it was more of an indulged life, pampered life, where some of them got to be really immature and foolish. Some of the people in their life might have known they were immature and foolish. Some of the people in their life might have known they were more narcissistic. And because of image and status, they really tried to clamp down on those people so that some of those people wouldn't go out in the world and live their more authentic life. And they were for some, they were hoping they would grow up. And, well, you know, sometimes when people have an opportunity to go live their more authentic life, they don't listen to their intuition. Some people are loving people, but we have to realize there's shadowy people in the world. But if you're a very loving, hopeful, believing person, you think, well, of course, if I invest in people and I love them and I'm loving and encouraging them, everybody would choose love. Well, for some people, love is like the devil. You are the Antichrist. You are the competition. You are the danger zone. That's the deep waters. I could drown. I could get hurt. I want to stay more in the shallow end of the pool emotionally. And if I were to be in a relationship with someone who's more loving and nurturing and encouraging, I have my comfort zone. High vibe energy is more independent, kind of wants to give birth to new things. And the more worldly, shadowy people, or not having hope and faith and belief and love people, might want to be in a relationship with someone who's loving and nurturing and encouraging. It creates the illusion that that's the type of person they are too. And they might have had some people in the world that didn't view them as that type of person before. And then if they get in a relationship with someone who seems more loving and encouraging and maybe victorious and successful in the way, attractive, charming, shines bright in the world in some way, it could make some other people kind of think, hey, maybe I need to give that person a second look, because this person who seems like they could be maybe in relationships with different people if they wanted to, is in a relationship with this person. And it could make other people wonder, what is there about this person that I previously called judgment on? And now they're in a relationship with these people, right? But the thing is, sometimes that's the very thing that some of the shadowy people are counting on. I want people to view me a certain way. I am going to try to create an illusion about the type of person I am by hanging out with certain people, acting a certain way, dressing a certain way, trying to get someone to buy into some illusion about who I am so they will move forward with me in a relationship, because that will make it look like I've changed, like I've moved on, like I'm not the same person I was. But eventually, you can hide the truth from some of the people some of the time, but you can't hide the truth from all the people all the time. And eventually, people kind of see through the illusion that people really aren't who they say they are. They're not as stable, grounded, emotionally mature. They could be more prideful and egotistical. They could be more manipulative. They could be more superficial and shallow. They could be more bossy and controlling. They could be more narcissistic. And some of the people who could get in close relationships with them, other people don't know them that well. And so some other people might have kind of seen through the illusion when they were in relationships with them, trying to get them to move forward in a friendship, a romantic relationship, or a workplace. Because people can have a lot of credentials or education or status or work history, right? Even having been in relationships or marriages, and you think, oh my gosh, they were married to someone and they had these children, and they were maybe in a relationship for quite a long time. They must be a person who knows how to operate kind of and function in a more authentic, balanced, loving relationship, because especially if people saw them, it's like, well, I saw them. I saw how they were in the world. That's what it looked like. Sometimes what people don't realize is it was kind of the person who was more aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature, who put in a lot of work and effort to move the relationship forward in an inspiring, loving way and balanced way. The sixes can talk about balance, to make it like this dream. And it could have been moving forward in a very victorious, successful way. But the thing is, the other person had something hidden beneath the surface about a philosophy of life that they have, or about how they view relationships, or if they're more immature, or if they're more codependent, or if they think they should be more indulged in a relationship. And, if somebody's not living their truth, they can, some people are really good at wearing a false mask. They've kind of been wearing a false mask their whole life. But as other people are trying to really bring the dream into reality, like, we can work through all these issues in a relationship and be in a relationship a long time. We have a lot of things that we're working on in a relationship, and that takes a lot of our time. But then there can get that time in a relationship where we've kind of worked through those things, like we got the job, we did things in the job, or we got in the relationship and we had the kids, and then it's kind of ready to move to the next phase of the relationship to really kind of bring another part to the step of bringing the dream into reality. And that can be where we've kind of hit the end of the road as far as this relationship can go. If some people were creating an illusion, again, that they were more stable and grounded and mature or whatever than they really were, they were kind of faking it the whole time anyway, and maybe just kind of shadowy fire sign energy that anyone can harness is it's kind of like they're indulging in the relationship. It's like, oh, this is great. This person has this hopeful, believing spirit. They're loving and encouraging me to come with them. I'm kind of going with them. But the difference is they're not kind of doing this work within themselves to more authentically be that type of person themselves. They still have this philosophy of life that, I just think this is just and fair. I don't have to, if I might have a certain status or image or something about me, I think people want to be in a relationship with me. This is how I view relationships. I don't think I have to become independent of that philosophy of life. But if you're going to kind of like give birth to something new, you do need to look at these kind of building blocks of your life. And to give birth to something new, you have to let go of something. And they might not want to. Like, no, I like doing life just like we've been doing it. And I want to keep moving forward like that. So it's kind of like they don't want to add a pentacle to the Seven of Pentacles, and the other people do. And in a typical Eight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, which, like Pisces, is a mutable sign, it helps transition us out of one way of viewing and living life to kind of transitioning to that new way of living life, kind of looking to the future. We see some truth that of kind of what we need to call judgment on. And sometimes it can be that, you can get in a relationship with people, but we're starting out here in this end of the reading over here with the Aries Fool card. And Aries energy is about the self. And some people get in relationships and it is more about how it benefits them. Like, oh, wow, this would make me look victorious and successful. Wow, this would look like this. And wow, it would look like this. And this would be great. But they're still kind of a little more self-motivated to be more about invested in themselves. And if you're going to work together with other people, well, you had your idea of how you thought this dream was going to come into reality. They kind of had their dream. And it is supposed to be this compromise, right? Together, we're working on a dream, not just your dream, not just my dream, but kind of working. The Six of Wands is made up of 2 Three of Wands, which is also Aries energy, that I thought we were both taking action to move forward together in this common dream, this mutual dream. And that's when some people could kind of struggle more, because it's like, well, I never planned to step outside my comfort zone. That's kind of scary. I kind of want to keep doing this. I enjoy this. And so then it can be where some people are like, I'm not willing to do that. You're kind of stepping outside my comfort zone. And that's what some people could be going through right now. Some people already went through that. And if some people already went through that, everybody kind of had to do this work within themselves. The people who didn't want to move forward in life differently had, if they thought about it, I could know that if I'm not willing to kind of compromise, because shadowy Taurus energy can be stubborn, that those people might move on without me and become independent of me. And some of those people decided they were okay with that. And some of the people in their life had to work through, the fact that they really didn't want to become independent of them, but kind of what drove and motivated them and how they want to live their life and what's more important to them, and maybe feeling people were a little bit more about themselves and weren't willing to be, I don't know, you have to get out of your ego or your defensive nature or your immature nature or stubborn nature or any of those things to kind of move forward in life differently. And here we have the Sagittarius energy. Here we have Aries. This is Leo. The three fire signs. In our Aries energy and our Leo energy, we can have a lot of things in common, a lot of things that we're kind of fired up about and things that we like and enjoy. But we could harness our temperance energy differently, which, if one person thinks, well, I think you should be very patient, kind of indulge me in a relationship, other people could have indulged some people. That's kind of what the Nine of Cups can talk about. I could have indulged you for quite a long time in a relationship, trying to be patient, is what the Temperance card talks about, to have hope and faith and belief that things would move forward. But, eventually you have to deal with the truth. And if people were wanting to work with you in a more just and fair and balanced way, which is also what the Temperance card talks about, and if they were kind of motivated and inspired to quit being more stubborn or more about themselves or more caught up in the world or whatever, they would. And eventually you kind of realize, the Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands. So this Ace of Pentacles could represent the Five of Wands, which can represent the competition. So we can get in relationships with people who in their earth sign energy, they align more with their more worldly view of life or self-view of life or whatever, shadowy. And other people are like, but I've already been there and done that, and it caused me a lot of inner conflict, and I didn't find it as emotionally fulfilling as I thought I would. If you find it emotionally fulfilling, you should live your life that way. But I can't live my life like that. That might be your truth. That might be your idea of the dream life and dream relationship. I could feel like you're caught up in the illusion of the world. And some of those people could think you live in illusion because they don't think you're maybe being practical and grounded because you have hope and faith and belief in love, and if you get along good enough and you got people that are willing to work with you in a relationship, you should stay in a relationship with them and blah, blah. You just kind of view life differently. And so they were offering you things of the world. You were offering them hope and faith and belief in love, being authentic, being loving. And they were like, that's scary. That's kind of out of my comfort zone. I think I'd rather hang out with people who are more like myself. It might be more worldly focused. It might be more ego focused. But I won't get hurt because I won't be doing love. And some people are like, I'm not willing to settle for the illusion. So some people invested in taking inspired action, and the Six of Wands can talk about victory, having victory over the illusion. They freed themselves from a layer, anyway, of their more worldly nature. And as they're moving forward in life, with this card not showing itself, the way I read that is that, shadowy people, it can be more all about trying to create this illusion. Look how wonderful my life is. Look how victorious and successful I am. Because that's what's important. People look at me. look and see how wonderful my life is. Because that's really important, because that image that they have is kind of what they use to try to get people to get in a relationship with them, because they're really not motivated and inspired maybe by love. And they know they're not a very maybe deep emotional person who does deep emotional relationships. And it's kind of more like using their emotions and their sexuality and all those things kind of manipulatively in a relationship. So their image is very important to them. And you weren't willing to settle for the illusion of love. You really want love. And they could be watching you, kind of, other people in the world could see you moving forward in your life, that you're moving forward victoriously, you're listening to your intuition, you're not settling for the illusion, you believe in yourself, you believe in your dreams, and they could be wondering how you're doing that, because you seem to be creating a really good illusion. But the thing is, you're not creating an illusion. You're not trying to manipulate people into viewing you a certain way. You're just living your more authentic life. And what they don't realize about you, because it's not how they view life, is that you're not harnessing this energy here in a more shadowy way, which could be something that they kind of harness in a more shadowy way, but you harness it in a more high vibrational way, and that makes all the difference. What is it? The Five of Cups, which, like the Six of Cups, is Scorpio energy. You kind of freed yourself from some issues of your past or ways of living life or viewing life that previously could have made you more focus on relationships of your past where people didn't work with you more cooperatively. And we can all kind of get in our ego about that. And we can all kind of get fired up to try to present ourselves a certain way, act a certain way, because we want people to like us. But the truth is, if we worked through how we contributed to that, could there have been people in our life who didn't want to work with us because we were more immature or bossy or controlling or whatever we were, right? We deal with the truth of that. High vibe energy, the Ace of Pentacles in high vibe, is I have seen the truth. I have worked through my own inner conflict, my own egoic nature, and I've just worked through it to make peace with the truth. Have I been more immature, stubborn, blah, 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 blah? We're all human beings. We've all had our own lessons to learn in life. High vibe Leo, I offer myself love and compassion and forgiveness for being the fallible human being I am. And I am inspired to learn the lessons I was meant to learn. I want to not act in ways that aren't conducive to a relationship. I want to conduct myself in a way that I can be proud of. And then I accept the fact that everybody else needs to take responsibility for that. And high vibe energy is like, I don't have any ill intentions, but I'm going to go out in the world and I'm no longer going to try to put on a show to get people to view me a certain way or like me. I'm going to go out and offer people truth and love and encouragement to love and believe in themselves, treat them the way I like to be treated. And if they want, that's the highest vibrational of all. And I guess if they're open to that, then we'll work together and we'll get along just fine. Because I have no intention of trying to manipulate people, control people, anything shadowy like that. I just want to work together with people in an authentic way. But, we all could have been more caught up in the illusion, like, oh, well, no, I got to go talk to those people. And then with these people, I kind of have to act like this. And with those people, I kind of need to act like that. And I need to maybe act like I'm the life of the party or blah, 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 blah. And really, those people are going to treat you whatever way they want to treat you, more based on who they are than who you are. So get out of the illusion and just act and conduct yourself and treat people the way you like to be treated. And then you give them the free will choice to choose to act whatever way they choose to want to be. But there's definitely people in the world who don't like that because they can sense like, wow, I kind of don't think you're kind of manipulated by some of the things I'm manipulated by. I generally try to kind of create this illusion, and then I'm trying to kind of manipulate people to get them to view me this certain way and work together with me in this way. And I kind of feel like none of that's really going to work on you. And then I don't know what to do because I really have maybe not put much work and effort to become more independent of my egoic nature and maybe relying on my status or my image or my looks or my money to deal with people. And generally those things work, that people are willing to work together with me. But those things don't really seem to be a factor with you. And you just want to work together with people who are more authentically themselves. And in order to be more authentically myself, I'd kind of have to detach from aligning with my more worldly, defensive, or egoic nature to work together with you more authentically. And I am nowhere near there, And so some people, they'll try to hide that it could make them uncomfortable, but, the people who just like, so you're different than some other people. Okay, I'll listen to my intuition and I'll kind of work with you. I might work with you differently than I work with some other people, but I kind of work with people where they're at. And, and then some people will just create an illusion that they're that type of person too, but it's really not the truth of who they are. And they'd really, sometimes shadowy people want more high vibrational people just to leave because it could cause them inner conflict in their philosophy of life and how they view themselves and how they present themselves in the world. And you're kind of a little bit more the real deal, and they used to like to think of themselves as the real deal, and they'd really rather just have you leave so they can hang around with people who are like them, and they can all go back to believing that they are these more just and fair and stable, grounded, and more emotionally mature people. But sometimes when new people come into the mix, it can, that are like more inspired or more hopeful or shine a little brighter or more talented or more attractive or something, it can really cause some chaos in a situation. And for some people, it would motivate and inspire them. Like, why don't I live my life like that? Why am I doing this? Why am I hanging out with, staying in this job or this friendship or this relationship or indulging in these things? Why don't I love and believe in myself more? And that's high vibe energy, as being a leader in the world. It's kind of like shadowy energy and high vibe energy, and every energy you could say in the world is trying to get people to align with their truth. It's just that high vibe people are like, you can do whatever you want because you are going to do whatever you want. And I know the truth of it, so I'm just going to go live my life. And if this does seem like something that's on the same page as you, we could get to know each other and kind of get a little more clear about how we view life and what we'd like to do and what we like to invest our time and energy into. And if I think that you're a more shadowy, you're like the next person wanting to indulge in a relationship with me or be manipulative or deceptive, or just because you're sad, a different relationship didn't work out. No, I don't want to get in a relationship with you just because you're sad or because you're trying to cause someone else mental conflict or get them in their ego or trying to manipulate them. No. If you're looking to get in a relationship with someone for those reasons, go find someone else. And I'm going to listen to my intuition about who I think is being truthful and honest and authentic, and who I think is operating more from their egoic nature, who is tempting me in my more worldly, egoic, lust, greed, whatever, ego nature. And I'm going to listen to my intuition about who's who. But I've worked through some of those issues in my past that could have before made me be maybe in have more inner conflict, maybe about loving and believing in myself or believing in my dreams, maybe being in more codependent energy, trying to get people to appreciate me or value me or love me. And I've worked through those things. I'm not in that energy anymore. I've reconciled myself with some issues of my past that didn't work out. And I just kind of seen the truth that my dream was different than their dream. I could have seen some other things that I don't need to, is kind of believing that I don't need to prove my point or tell what I know. If we want people in the world to do better, we don't need to shame and humiliate them. And I really don't care if some people try to manipulate people to make them view me a certain way. Well, the people who would be manipulated would be manipulated. And the people who are more intuitive and, know that they don't know everything that goes on in the world would give people more the benefit of the doubt. And, everybody is where they're at. I believe the truth will come out in the end. And I believe people can't hide the truth forever. They can try to confuse people about the truth. They can try to manipulate people. There's other people who have a fear of love, fear of being more independent, kind of more codependent. Well, they'll keep doing that until they can't take it anymore. Let's go see what's coming up. For people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy, they're investing in moving forward, listening to their intuition. They're investing their time, energy, and effort into other people who they think are more aligned with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, who listen to their intuition, who keep life in perspective. Instead of continuing to invest their time, energy, and effort from the 7 down to the 1, we let go of the 6 of Pentacles. And the 6 of Pentacles can be about doing give and take in a relationship with certain people. It's like, I'm not doing give and take with you anymore in a relationship. You can do what you want to do, and I'm moving on. And some people have already moved on in new relationships, willing to learn more lessons in life, but knowing that what they had been in wasn't maybe aligned with their truth. The 7 of Swords. Why? Because of the 10 of Pentacles and the King of Cups. So, because you were willing to put in this work and effort in Virgo energy, adding the 1 to the 7 makes the 8, which is Virgo energy. You went through the 8 and the 9 and the 10. You did this work within yourself to love yourself, to take action from love. What more can you do? In Virgo energy is about offering truth and love. You can, in high vibe Leo energy, be proud of yourself. I offered truth, love, and encouragement to people. And then I had to listen to my intuition. The fives and the sevens in tarot can be these challenging times in our life that we kind of really struggle with because it is kind of like a transition point in our life. In high vibe, the Seven of Swords, the five, the six, and the seven is Aquarius energy. I try to work with people to bring a dream into reality, but I could see they're still caught up in the illusion or their fear or these illusions about what it means to be in relationships or in themselves or whatever. And my intuition is telling me if I want my dream to come into reality, I need to hold on to my dreams. And the Seven of Swords, they're holding the five swords about their dream and their truth. And they're going to listen to their intuition, climb that hill, which is kind of like Virgo energy, not let people try to confuse them about the truth. You either are working together with me in a just and fair and authentic and loving way, or you're just trying to create the illusion you're that type of person. And I'm going to listen to my intuition. And then with the tens, that can mean that you've completed a cycle. You're ready to have this new beginning. And I think you're very stable and abundant and grounded within yourself, putting in work and effort into whatever you're putting work and effort into to move forward in a very stable, balanced, inspiring, loving way. And I think as you do that, some other people who could have been not sure about you, if you were someone who is more shadowy or manipulative or whatever, they're seeing that you really are who you say you are. And some of those people are listening to their intuition that, yeah, I want to move forward with you. I have other people in the world I could invest in too. I could invest in these people. I've already been in relationships with people who are like that. I don't find it very fulfilling either. I think I'm going to do my own work within myself to work through my fears about being more authentic and loving and believing in myself and trusting other people and believing in love so I can move forward with you. And there's always going to be the people who want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you, and you're going to listen to your intuition about those people too. It's like, nope. If my intuition tells me you're more about pride and ego and lust or greed or yourself or image or status, that's not why I want to be in a relationship with you. So, what's coming up for the people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy that they don't see coming? The Ten of Cups. Why? Because of the Two of Pentacles. Well, so shadowy energy can be that people kind of want to keep juggling the truth. High vibe people are speaking the truth. Well, when people have people in their life, well, I could either invest in you, and you've kind of shown me many times that you're kind of stubborn or manipulative and repeat some patterns that I don't really enjoy. And I've kind of been going back and forth if I want to keep giving you the benefit of the doubt or not. Or I could invest in people who seem to be truthful, honest, authentic, stable, grounded, emotionally balanced, loving, and my intuition is telling me I should align with that energy within myself and I could have my dreams come into reality. And so, some people who are kind of shadowy maybe sometimes can't figure out, well, why did those people leave? Look at all these things about me. Why didn't they stay? I have everything those people have. I might even have more of some of these things. I might have more status, more social clout, more money, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, some people, we can all be tempted by that, but a lot of people in the world want a more balanced life. And not where it's more about one person or just more about the ego or the image, not just to be in a relationship, like to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship with someone who has self-awareness, self-insight, emotionally mature, inspires me to love and believe in myself, versus being with people who can't decide if they really want to invest in me or not, because, well, I don't know. What were you going to wear? How much money do you have? Well, who did you hang out with? And it's all more this image thing. It's like, you know what? Go find someone else to go juggle to decide if you really want to invest in them or not. And they could have some high vibe people who are done. From the Two of Pentacles to the Seven of Pentacles, some of the people in their life in the Five of Pentacles have felt left out in the cold. But if they were to decide to pick up their investment in them, then they have to detach from them, which is also the Five of Pentacles, and they maybe have to go through this period of feeling left out in the cold and work through this situation to get through feeling left out in the cold, to be ready to move forward in something new. And that's why some people keep trying to make things work, because they really would rather not go through that. But there's going to be some people in their life that are like, I'm done. I'm tired of feeling left out in the cold. I'm tired of trying to get you to love or believe in yourself or become more independent of your ego nature or other people or whatever. And I'm going to go invest in doing this work within myself to work through my sadness that it didn't work out, but seeing the truth that it isn't working out. And it will probably not work out, because kind of what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into and what we kind of value in the world is different. I can be in very stable, abundant, and loving relationships. And some things that some people only offer is these things of the world. And it's kind of like seeing the truth that our shadow nature wants us to just more make our life about these things of the world. And our high vibe energy says it's a balance. It's not to say the world is meant to be enjoyed. Go enjoy the world. It was given to you to enjoy, but within moderation. Don't give those things of the world that you might like to indulge in so much power and precedent in your life that you lose sight of the bigger picture. Those things are not the answer to your happiness. They are something that contributes to enjoying your life. Don't give that more importance than you should. Just like if you like to go out and have a drink, go out and have some drinks. Where other people, it's a way to make, they think is going to be the answer to all their problems, and they got to drink a case, or a bottle. You kind of have chipped and lost perspective. Go enjoy the world. Go enjoy a lot of things in the world, but just keep it in perspective. It's kind of like, when is enough enough? And for some people, enough is never enough. They can't have enough attention. They can't have enough money, status, power. They can't indulge in enough things to make them feel better, because they keep looking to something that is not the answer. And until they see that truth, they're going to keep doing it. And other people might have already kind of learned those lessons, and those people are moving on in life differently. So the shadowy people eventually might end up in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves, which would be a just and fair relationship, who also juggles, who also can't decide if they want to stay, if they want to go, if they want to invest, if they don't want to invest. And everybody could kind of find it a little superficial and shallow and emotionally unfulfilling. But if neither one is really willing to detach maybe because of the codependency or the stability or security, they'll keep staying in it. Just like people stay at a job they don't really like, and other people are like, I will get through this. I will work through the sadness that this did not work out, but I can't keep staying doing this. So while you juggle, I've made a decision. I'm moving forward in life differently. And then some of those people keep juggling, and then some people can't decide. Well, I can't decide. I like being with the loving people, but then I'm really kind of more about me or my ego and my image or these things I want to indulge in. And then I go invest in those people, but then I kind of really don't like that because they're not as loving as the loving people. And then I want to go back and get in a relationship with the loving person, but then that person wants me to put in work and effort and be more emotionally stable and grounded. So then I want to go, and they just keep going back and forth. And some people juggled some high vibe people they could have moved forward. They juggled some people that were more aligned with their worldly nature, and all those people have moved on. And they thought they could maybe juggle people, and now they have nobody to juggle. And they're looking to find, it's kind of like, this is a moment for you to pause and maybe think that juggling people isn't a good idea. Maybe trying to play people off of each other and see who is more willing to indulge you in your immature egoic ways of being wasn't a good idea. And maybe you should pick a path. And, some people in the world who weren't as shadowy could be a little more balanced within themselves, and they could pick a path one way or the other. But there's just some people who are unwilling to take accountability for their actions. And in order to move forward with some people, they would have to be willing to reveal the truth. But they could be too much in their ego to be willing to reveal the truth. So they're going to keep repeating this pattern, and things will probably not keep working out for them. And then other people they could get in a relationship could wonder, well, why did you walk away from that other relationship? Why did you go decide to do this? And then they kind of try to create an illusion about why that other relationship didn't work out, but they're not telling the truth. Other people in their intuition are like, I don't think you're telling me the truth. And then eventually those people might not want to keep staying in a relationship with them either. Be honest. High vibe people were honest. They were a fallible human being who made mistakes. They told other people they made mistakes. Other people could have been moving away from them. And then when these people came and revealed their truth, they were like, wow, I think you're telling me the truth. And yeah, I would like to be friends again or hang out again. I'm glad you worked through that, and some people think, no, I don't have to tell the truth. I can just juggle the truth. I have a certain status and image. I got to maintain it. Well, some people are going to listen to their intuition and leave these people. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.